If you're watching this right now, I need you to do one thing. Press like, subscribe to the channel. Not because it's a routine request, but because stories like this don't get told unless people choose to stay. And this one only makes sense if you stay until the end. Now listen carefully. I didn't freeze because I was scared. I froze because his breath was already there, warm, close, undeniable, before my mind could catch up to my body. One hand rested on my shoulder, not gripping, not demanding, just steady, like it had learned the exact amount of pressure needed to keep someone from pulling away. The other hand guided me backward, slow and familiar, like this wasn't the first time he'd done it, like he knew the shape of hesitation better than I did. I bit my lip. I didn't nod. I didn't step away. I didn't say yes, but I didn't say no either. And somehow, in moments like that, silence becomes permission. I heard the door behind me creak open. I didn't turn around, didn't speak, didn't even breathe differently. I stayed exactly where I was, heart pounding so loud it felt like it might give me away. The air shifted thicker now, heavier, as if the room itself understood that something irreversible had just begun. Then someone leaned in close, too close, and a voice whispered softly near my ear. "Happy birthday." It wasn't his voice. That was when my chest tightened. The blindfold came next. Soft fabric, cool against my skin, pulled just tight enough to blur the hallway light into nothing. I let it happen. Not because I was told to, but because curiosity can be louder than fear when it's wrapped in calm. I sat down carefully on the edge of the couch, hands folded in my lap, back straight, every movement deliberate, like I was afraid that one wrong shift would shatter whatever invisible balance had settled over the room. The quiet didn't feel empty. It felt watched. I didn't ask the time, didn't ask who was there, didn't ask what was about to happen. I focused on my breathing instead, slow, even trying to anchor myself to something real. Then came the smallest sounds, fabric brushing against something soft, a faint clink glass touching wood. Then stillness again. I could tell he hadn't left. Not by sound, not by touch, but by the way the room seemed to hold its breath, like it was waiting for permission to exhale. What caught my attention wasn't movement behind me. It was the floorboard, one slow creak near the doorway. Careful, measured, then another. That wasn't him. Someone else was there now. I stayed completely still. Behind me, his voice came again, calm, controlled. "He's here, that's all. No one move." The floor creaked again. Closer, right behind me. My pulse thudded harder. "Don't take off the blindfold," he said quietly. Then he stepped aside. I didn't need to see it to know the space had changed. The air felt different, charged, waiting like something had entered that couldn't be undone. There was someone else now. I couldn't see him, but I knew instantly that he wasn't my partner. He didn't speak at first. He just stood there, close enough that the silence gained weight. When he finally spoke, his voice was steady, certain. "Happy birthday." It wasn't what he said. It was how it felt like this moment had been imagined long before it ever arrived. I straightened slightly, unsure where to place my hands. I kept them folded, still, obedient to my own restraint. The blindfold stayed in place. I sensed movement, not touch, just presence. The whisper of fabric shifting. A breath that wasn't mine. My partner stayed quiet, watching, allowing. I didn't move, not out of fear, but because something inside me understood that stillness mattered, that this moment was offering me a choice. "You look peaceful like this," the man said. Not rushed, not uncertain, just observant. Footsteps moved softly, not toward me, but around me, circling, slowly, respectfully. A quiet breath near my right side. Still no contact. "I want you to lean back," he said. Then, after a pause, "but only if you choose to." My breath deepened. Not fast, not shaky, just full. I leaned back slowly, hands pressing into the cushions beneath me. No one guided me. No one touched me. I followed something internal, something I didn't have words for yet. When I stopped moving, his voice came closer. "You don't have to remove the blindfold," he said softly. "Not yet." I nodded once. Then I felt it, not his hand, not his breath. The blindfold shifted slightly. Or maybe time did. I couldn't tell. No one moved. And yet I knew exactly how close he was. Not by touch, by presence. The kind that rearranges everything inside you without ever laying a finger on your skin. My hands stayed folded, unsure, but not afraid. I heard him breathe slow, calm. I waited for words. Instead, he moved not closer, but around me, like someone carefully measuring distance. "You don't need to see yet," he murmured, "but I want you to know you're not alone." Something inside me turned. I didn't ask who he was, didn't demand an explanation. I let myself sink back fully, shoulders meeting the cushions, arms relaxing at my sides. This wasn't performance. It wasn't habit. It was choice. I let the silence stretch. Then his voice came again. "I was told you're strongest in stillness," he said, "that when you stop trying, everything begins." I exhaled. Not from nerves, from recognition. No hands touched me. No breath brushed my skin. Just nearness. Then the couch shifted slightly, just enough to tell me he was close. The blindfold loosened. I didn't resist. Didn't help. I let it slide away on its own. Light returned slowly. Soft, gentle. I blinked, adjusting. And I saw him. Not smiling. Not anxious. Just calm. Open. A man who hadn't rushed to arrive. Something lifted inside me, not quite a smile. Acknowledgement. My partner sat nearby, silent, watching, not interfering. One of them spoke, I couldn't tell who. "She's steady." I didn't answer. I didn't need to. I stayed present. Ready. His eyes met mine again, this time with nothing but tenderness. His hand lifted and settled near mine. Close. Not touching. And yet warmth spread through me like it had. My breathing softened. My fingers relaxed in my lap. I looked at him like someone who had waited years for clarity without knowing it. And for the first time that night, I understood. This wasn't about what was happening. It was about what I was allowing. I didn't realize how quiet the room had become until I noticed my own breathing again. Slow, measured, almost unfamiliar. He stayed where he was close, but never crossing the invisible line. That mattered more than anything else. It told me this moment wasn't being taken from me. It was being offered. His presence settled beside me like warmth after a long, cold season. Not overwhelming, not demanding, just there, steady, patient. "You don't need to rush," he said softly. "No one's asking you to become anything tonight." The words sank deep, because I hadn't realized how long I'd been performing versions of myself just to keep peace. I swallowed. My throat felt tight, not from fear, but from something loosening. My partner shifted slightly across the room. I felt his gaze on me, not possessive, not jealous, curious, watching me discover something I hadn't known I was missing. I looked back at the man beside me. His hand still rested in his lap, grounded, deliberate, no hunger in his posture, no impatience, only attention. "You can sit up if you want," he said, "or stay exactly where you are." I sat up slowly. This time, my movement felt different. Not tentative, not cautious, intentional. Our eyes met fully now, and in that moment, something inside me cracked open, not loudly, not dramatically, but completely. I felt seen, not as an object, not as a role, but as a person suspended between who she'd been and who she was becoming. He spoke again, Keter now, almost reverent. "Most people think intimacy is about closeness," he said, "but it's really about permission." My chest rose with a deep breath. My heart steadied instead of racing. I nodded. He leaned forward slightly, not invading my space, just enough to show presence. "You've been holding yourself together for a long time," he continued. "Tonight, you don't have to." Something in me finally gave way. Not tears, not collapse. Release. I let my shoulders drop, my hands unclenched, my jaw softened. I didn't realize how tense I'd been until I wasn't anymore. My partner's voice came quietly from behind us. She never lets herself rest like this. There was no accusation in it, just truth. The man beside me glanced toward him, then back to me. "You're safe," he said. "All of you." The room felt smaller and larger at the same time, like the world had narrowed to this moment but expanded inside my chest. I leaned forward slightly, closing the distance on my own. Not touching, just closer. Our breathing found a rhythm. For a moment, no one spoke. Then I felt it, the swell of emotion I'd been keeping contained for years. Not sadness, not joy, recognition. My hands lifted without conscious thought, hovering near his. I stopped myself just short of contact. He noticed, and instead of moving toward me, he stayed still. That restraint undid me more than anything else could have. My breath trembled. "I didn't know I needed this," I whispered. I wasn't sure who I was speaking to. He answered anyway. "Most people don't," he said, "until they're given space to feel." My chest tightened, then softened, then filled. The emotion came in waves, slow, powerful, impossible to ignore. I closed my eyes briefly, letting it wash through me. When I opened them again, clarity had replaced the uncertainty. I wasn't confused anymore. I wasn't overwhelmed. I was awake. I let out a breath I felt like I'd been holding my entire life. And with that breath, I let go. Not of control, of fear. Nothing dramatic followed. No sudden movement, no crossing of boundaries. Just stillness. Respectful. Complete. The man beside me leaned back slightly, giving me space again, proving the choice had always been mine. My partner stood and walked over, resting a hand gently on my shoulder. This time, it didn't steady me. It joined me. I looked between them, heart full, mind clear. For the first time, I understood something essential. This wasn't about desire. It wasn't about temptation. It wasn't about crossing lines. It was about realizing how much of myself I had been denying just to survive, and how powerful it felt to finally choose myself. The room stayed quiet, not because there was nothing left to say, but because everything important already had been felt, and that was enough.